everyone, welcome back to my knitting room. I'm actually sitting in my own knitting chair today. I usually sit over there in my husband's chair, but the lighting was a little weird today, so I'm hoping this is gonna work. And now you can see what I'm surrounded by when I sit and knit. So this is my little knitting area in my knitting room. I think I showed that on one of my last episodes. I got that from my friend Autumn. And I've got, if I'm sitting on knitting, I've got the Golden Girls up here because Golden Girls for life. I've got a lady knitting. I've got a beautiful cross stitch that my mom made me. I made that up there. That, what's it called? Punch needle. I made this punch needle too. These three things were gifts from my friend Karen, who you're gonna see later. And this is from Longway Homestead, I think that's called. And it just talks about how long it takes to grow wool and how much grass the sheep ate, how much water it drank, then it was sheared, carded, spun, dyed using plants. So anyway, the yarn process. So I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet because I have another video I'm going to put in after I'm done this with my very special friend Karen, who I met with in Montreal, and we spent the weekend together at Knit City. So it was really, really fun, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about that together in the video after this. So I just have a couple of FOs and things to show you, and then I will get to that. I don't really have any other like fun life updates or anything like that, so I won't torture you with any of that. And I'm going to just get into it. First of all, thank you for everyone's comments. Oh, by the way, my name's Melissa. If you're new here, I am Stitches Be Slippin on Instagram, and this is a knitting podcast for the most part. Sometimes I do other stuff, but I mainly stick to knitting. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, thank you for everyone's comments on my last episode. I had lots of comments, and I have picked a winner for the giveaway. I just asked my lovely friend Siri to give me a random number, and then I chose, and then I like scroll down to that number comment, and I am going to put down below here the YouTube name of the lady who won. I'm pretty sure it's a woman. Congratulations! You won a skein of yarn that I dyed in my kitchen, and I'm going to also put in a little set of stitch markers that I also made with shells from my beach at my cabin. So if you can please send me an email. I'm going to put an email down here as well. So if you can send me an email and let me know that it's you who won, and just give me your shipping information and I will send it off to you. The lady that won this actually recommended the Modern Skein in, I can't remember what, in Montgomery, I think, Texas. I could be wrong. Somewhere in Texas. And I looked it up, and it looks like an amazing yarn shop. So you're very lucky that that's your local yarn shop. And the Modern Skein also has a podcast, and I've been watching that as well because you recommended it to me. So thank you so much for that. I actually got a lot of yarn store inspiration from all of the comments and different dyers and things that people order from. So that was fantastic. So yeah, congratulations. And I'm going to move on to what I'm wearing. This is the, this is the Anchors Summer Shirt by Petite Knit. And all of the information that I mentioned, patterns, yarn, makers, etc., will all be down below in my description box, in my show notes. So this is Anchors Summer Shirt by Petite Knit. This is, she has a number of different versions of her Anchors patterns. This is the summer shirt version, which is a DK weight, and I made it with Mary Margaret Fibers, who is Candace, and she's a friend of mine who is local. She lives in Strathmore, Alberta, which is very close to Calgary. It's just east of Calgary a little ways, and she dyes some really fun colors if you're into like fun, bright colors, lots of neons and stuff like that. I bought this yarn from her at a festival last fall. Well, actually, she had the yarn in a fingering weight and I loved it, and I ordered some DK weight from her, and as soon as I got it, I cast it on and this just flew off my needles. It's a super quick knit. This is all ribbing up here, and then in between the ribbing there's some increase rounds, and then it's just a cute little t-shirt. Yeah, it was a very fun quick knit, so I recommend that. And the colorway is called Pretty in Pink, and it's just it's like just a regular like 75 merino 25 nylon superwash DK, and it's very comfy and cozy, but it's light. Anyway, very fun knit. So I have a couple of FOs to show you. Oops, I clapped again. Some people don't like it when I clap. Yes, I have 2 FOs to show you. First of all, I have this, which I have been working on for quite some time now. This is a sample shawl for Shelly at Polka Dot Creek, who I work for. I work as a yarn dyer for Polka Dot Creek, and we have a festival coming up called Creekside Festival in Airdrie, Alberta on June 10th, and it's we're going with like summer theme and like summery colors and things like that for our booth, and she wanted a summery type sample knit up, and so I said I would knit it for her. She picked out the colors, and I knitted and knitted and knitted until my fingers fell off, and this is the result. She's big, so where's the beginning? I started down here, and she got bigger. There's no way for you to see it all. But this is the general gist. This is called Painting Waves by Stephen West, and the pattern calls for 8 colors, but we only used 6 colors, but you can use as many colors as you want, really. So the colors are Polka Dot Creek fingering weight yarn. The main color is Sugar Cookie, which is all of the white in between all the contrast colors. And then the contrast colors are Lipstick, Carnation, Duckling, Bright Aqua, Lilac, and Hydrangea. So we've talked about this on our podcast, our Easily Distracted by Yarn podcast, which is our podcast that we have at work at Polka Dot Creek. Yeah, it's a nice, it's an easy knit. Like, it's a lot of knitting, but it's not complicated. It's kind of like an 8-row repeat, and really only 1 row you have to focus on. So, and it's not even that hard of focusing. It's just a few increases and decreases to make the waves. So very fun. So if you come see Shelly at the festival, that sample will be at the booth, and I think she's going to make some kits for those colors if you like those colors. I'm going to be at the shop during the festival because I have bought a shit ton of yarn in the last month from my trip to Chicago and then my trip to Montreal this past weekend, so I am not allowing myself to be around a whole bunch more yarn, even though I work at a yarn store. Anyway, my next FO, my other FO I'm going to show you, I was in the middle of working on that shawl, and I ran out of a color in the middle of one of the contrast color stripes. And so I had, I think, 3 or 4 days until I went back to work to get more. So I was like, maybe I should cast something else on. And I went and I was looking at all my yarn that I got in Chicago, and I was like, which one should I do? Which one should I do? And I heard this little voice coming from over here going, "Don't forget about me." So there was some yarn that was feeling forgotten and neglected This was some yarn that I bought at Knit City Mini in Vancouver, which was the first kind of smaller scale knit city they had after COVID, which I think was 2020 in the fall. I could be wrong. Anyway, it was like a smaller scale. There were no classes, just the marketplace. It was about half the vendors, and they did timed tickets and limited how many tickets they sold, and everyone had to be masked, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I bought yarn at that festival to make the Hello from My Colors crop by Jessie May, and then it sat for a really long time because I had, what did they call it? Decision fatigue, or it's like being overwhelmed by too many choices. Like I bought all these colors and then I was like second guessing the colors that I bought and what colors I was going to use for my main color and blah blah blah. And so I kind of just put it aside because I couldn't decide. And I've gone back to it a number of times and looked at the colors I bought and kind of played around with other colors I had in my stash. And after I came home from Chicago, oh shoot, my tag is over there. After I came home from Chicago, I bought a mustardy kind of color. I'm gonna need that tag. Just one second. Oh, I didn't even knock it over. I didn't want to stop the video and restart, so sorry about that. I bought some mustardy wool and silk, and then I was holding that. After my yarn was saying, don't forget about me, I pulled it out and I put that in with some other colors, and I pulled another color off my shelf, and boom, I was like, this is it. Just cast on, and then it's done, and then you can't second guess yourself anymore. So that is what I did. And this is what happened from that. So this is the Hello from My Colors crop. There are some pictures of me in a grid post on my Instagram if you want to go look at that, and some more information about it. There's also, you're going to see me wearing it. I wore it to the marketplace at Knit City in Montreal on Saturday. And so I don't have a ton to talk about with this one. It's a very addictive knit because the entire thing is pretty much color work. And it's fingering weight, which sounds like, but all of the repeats are 6 stitches or less. So most of them are less. Like what I should say is the longest repeat is 6 stitches. So you're never catching floats. You're never like, you're just like knitting, 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 knitting. And then you're like, oh, well, I'll just do the next chart. Oh, well, I'll just do the next chart. And bada bing, bada boom, you're done. So this part, I have to say, was a bit of a slog because this is the widest that it's like the longest stitch count, because it's just before separating for sleeves, and it's fingering weight, and it was like a pretty big color work section. So that part took a while to get through. But anyway, this color is Julie Aslan, who is a Canadian dyer actually out in Quebec. I think she was at Knit City, but I didn't see her booth. Julie Aslan is her name. And this main color is a sport weight. I had this in my stash from another thing that I bought that I then used for something else. This is an 80% Rambouillet and 20% Targhee. And it feels like 100% merino, like super, super, super soft. So when you see different names of different types of sheep, different types of fiber, don't be scared of them, because like this is so soft. And then colorway is called Latte. And then this color, this mustard color, is the color I was talking about that I got in Chicago. It is from Ovis, etc. And the color name is Toffee. It's their Ignae fingering weight base, which is 60% wool, 20% Rami, and 20% silk. So it is the shiniest of all the bases. So I mixed a lot of different bases together. There's a lot of different fiber in here, but it's almost all, except for the main color, it's all fingering weight. So it all played together quite nicely. Then the pink here, this pink is Allison Barnes Yarn, who is also a local Alberta dyer. She lives up by Edmonton, I think. And this is her BFL non-superwash fingering base, which I wrote down is just 100% non-superwash BFL, blue face luster wool. And this colorway is called Rose Hip. And this was left over from something else. And I ran out, I think it's in the middle of this row. I did one round of that and then I ran out. And so I didn't want to just change. Anyway, I went in my stash and I found this. It looks almost exactly the same. If you looked at it really, really close, you could tell that they're different fibers. But this pink that I used for the last couple sections of that color are Polka Dot Creek. And it's the carnation colorway that I double dyed and used for my love note. That's in like, I don't know how many episodes back. But yeah, it looks almost exactly the same. So that's the only superwash that's in here. That's just our regular superwash fingering weight base. And then what other colors have I not talked about? This purple and this minty kind of blue. Those are both from the Small Bird Workshop, and she is a dyer out on Vancouver Island. And these are both her Cormo base, which is fingering weight. And it doesn't say what type of fiber it is, but it says just says 2-ply non-superwash, US sourced and milled. And it's just Cormo is the name of the base. I'm not sure if she carries this base anymore. Actually, I was looking on her website to find more info about it and I didn't see it on there. So the mint colorway is Sage. There's a really good section of it down here. And then the purple is Merlot. Yeah, Merlot. And that was the purple. Oh, the other thing. So I didn't swatch, shocker. And I tend to overcompensate to what am I trying to say? Most people, when they're doing color work, it's too tight and it puckers, etc. And I overcompensate and my stitches are very loose during color work because I'm scared of them being too tight. And so as a result of that, my sweater turned out real big. I can put a picture up here of what it looked like after I blocked it. It was very large. My row gauge was way off. My stitch gauge was way off, way too big. So I did the bad thing that you're not supposed to do. Well, I did it very carefully and in a controlled way. I spritzed it to get it damp or moist, if you will, and put it in the dryer. I put it in the dryer. I checked it like every 1 or 2 minutes and took it out and measured it, and it was shrinking a little bit every time because it's all non-superwash yarn, so it was felting itself. It was sort of shrinking up a little bit, and I stood there in the laundry room by my dryer for a while, and it shrunk back down, and now it fits perfectly. So I don't highly recommend trying to shrink your knits because it's very stressful, but it did work out. Doing it in a very controlled, very obsessive compulsive way, that's the way to do it. Okay, I have 2 whips and a couple of acquisitions, and then I will get to Montreal. My Pure Joy that I cast on when we went to Chicago, it still looks pretty much the same, but I'll show it to you anyway. This is the Pure Joy shawl by Joji Locatelli, and I am just about done the 4th wedge of short rows. It just looks like crap right now, but so this, I'm doing the eyelet rows with okay. This is my main color. These yarns are all Allison Barnes yarn in that 100% non-superwash BFL fingering base that I just showed. This color is the eyelet stripes, and then this color is going to be a thick band of garter at the end after I'm done the wedges and the eyelet stripes. I'll put a picture up here of the pattern, what the pattern, so you get an idea. I'm just about done the 4th wedge, and then there's one more wedge, and then there's the big contrast color at the end. So it's not been getting a lot of attention because I've been knitting like a maniac on all of my other things, but that's that. I also, I cast this on. I finished the Painting Waves shawl and got it on the blocking mats like the night before I left for Montreal. So then I was like, yay, I can cast on new things. So I got out some yarn I got in Chicago. This is Rowan Soft Yak DK. They come in 50 gram balls, and they're 76% cotton, 15% yak, and 9% nylon. This color is number 230, and they call it cream, but it's much more of a sand/gray. It's like a brownie. It's just a beige, basically, which is a theme you will see. And I found a great pattern to use it with. I wanted to use it for a summer tee, and I was thinking of the Colette tee, but that one also has a higher neck, and I want to do more V-necks and things like that, as I've said, I think in my last episode I mentioned. So this is the Rift tee by Jacqueline Cieslak, and I'm doing this version. You can do a longer sleeve version, but I'm doing the t-shirt version with the V-neck in the front. And I cast that on at the airport, maybe? I can't remember. I started working on the hem on the airplane on the way to Montreal. And immediately it's bottom up. So I was working on the hem on the way there, and it's twisted rib. So I was like, well, I'll just go along, and then I decided I hated it, but then by that time I was too far into it and I was not ripping it back, so I kept going. It looks beautiful, but such is life. So I finished the hem. It was a 4-hour flight. It took me 4 hours to do the back hem and then the front hem and join in the round. The back hem's like 3 inches, the front hem's like 2 inches maybe, and then join in the round. That took me 4 hours. Anyway, I was watching The Last of Us, which we don't have HBO, so that was kind of cool. I got to watch half of it on the way there, and I watched half of it on the way home. I was very disappointed in the last episode, by the way. Anyway, that show was largely filmed here in Calgary and in the mountains just outside of Calgary, so that was kind of cool. I didn't recognize any of the places, but I think they had made them over significantly. Anyway, I am trying to show what I've gotten done. On my way back home from Montreal, I pretty much finished all the body rounds, like up to the underarm. And then in the last few days, I've gotten the front panels done. So the V-neck is ready, I think. And I'm just working on the back to bring that up. And then I'll 3 needle bind off them together, I think. And yeah, so that's gonna be good. I really like the pattern. I'm thinking I might do another one. There's, if you remember a few episodes ago, I went to Lethbridge and I bought 4 balls of Rowan felted tweed in a like dark navy tweed. And I think I might do another one of these in that, because I didn't really know exactly what I was gonna do with that, but so that might happen. Those are my whips, and then I have a couple of little acquisitions and then a lot of acquisitions in the video coming up with Karen. So on Mother's Day, I got a very lovely, well, not on Mother's Day, but just before Mother's Day, Penny, who is Creek Gardens Crafts on Etsy, came into the shop. She is Shelly's mom. Shelly is the owner of Polka Dot Creek. Penny is Shelly's mom, and she makes project bags, and mostly project bags, and like lots of other things. I'm blanking now. She makes a lot of things. T-shirts, sweatshirts, stitch markers, project bags. She was dyeing cotton yarn, but she's not. She's trying to get out of that, and we're gonna learn how to dye cotton yarn. Anyway, she makes these beautiful project bags, and for Mother's Day, she made all of us who work at Polka Dot Creek a project bag. She had been making a whole bunch of different project bags, and then she brought them all in and told us that we could pick one. So, I picked this one. Can you believe this? This is all cork, and look at that sparkle in the cork. It's like rainbowy. You can't maybe tell how rainbowy it is, but it's rainbowy. And there's this cute little handle on the side. And the inside is my colors. Absolutely my colors. So yeah, I think she's bringing quite a few bags like this to the Creekside Festival. And so if you want some like this, come and check us out in Airdrie. Candace from Mary Margaret Fibers, who is this yarn, is also going to be there. I don't think she has much in her shop right now because she's busy dyeing, getting ready for the Creekside Festival in June. My bag from Penny, and then long time ago, like 2 months ago, I pre-ordered this, and then it came while I was gone to Montreal. This has nothing to do with knitting, but it was a pre-order from a yarn dyer. If you've heard of Hello Stella Fibers, she is in, I believe she's in Ontario, and she makes a lot of really beautiful yarn. She's a beautiful yarn dyer, but she did a pre-order with a bunch of different paint by numbers, and then she dyed yarn to match the different paint by numbers kits. And I was like, they were kind of like mini sets, and I have tons of minis and whatever, but I really loved the paint by numbers kits that she posted. So I pre-ordered one of those, and it came, and it's so gorgeous. So now, on top of knitting and crocheting and punch needle and cross stitch and embroidery and, well, not really spinning anymore, but yeah, now I'm going to paint, apparently. So there's that. It's so beautiful, and I'm hoping that the whole paint by numbers concept is easy because I've never painted anything before, so this could go really wrong, but I am looking forward to it. It says there's 5 paintbrushes in it, and I don't know. We'll see how that goes. That could go really badly. And then I also ordered, I've been looking at, there's a lot of mesh tops and things going around right now. I was looking at there's a pattern by James N. Watts called Look at My Holes, and it's fantastic. And I've seen quite a few people around wearing them lately, and they look really cute, and they seem quick and fun to knit. So I was considering that for sure. And then I also saw Two of Wands has a pattern, and I did not think ahead to write it down, and I cannot remember what it's called, but I will put a picture of it up here and a title down here with the name of the pattern and a link down below. I'm a very hard worker. And I ordered yarn for that. It's a crocheted top, which is awesome. The stitch pattern in it is, I'm pretty sure, the exact same stitch pattern in the market bags that I have made of her pattern, the French market bag. I showed those, I don't know how many episodes ago when we went to Mexico. I've made a number of those market bags, and I took one to Mexico with me. So it's just like mesh, but it's crocheted, so it's going to be a lot easier and a lot faster. And I really liked the color in her sample, so I got those. I only needed 2 skeins of the yarn. It's called Lion brand. It's called Kobu, which is, I think it's 50% cotton and 50% bamboo. 51% cotton, 49% rayon from bamboo. And I only needed 2 skeins, and so I went to Walmart and they didn't have that color. And so I went on the Walmart website and ordered what I thought was 2 skeins. But apparently what I ordered was 2 sets of 3. So I now have 4 too many skeins of these, so I thought maybe I'll just do another giveaway. I only need 2 of these. The color is taupe, I think. Yes, taupe. You can't really, sorry about the crinkling, you can't see it very well, but did I say I was gonna put a picture of it here? If I did already, oh cool. good for me. If not, here it is. And that sample color is this color. So if anyone wants to make this top, put a comment below and say, I would like to make that and be entered in the giveaway. And I will pick a random comment that has those parameters in it. And I don't know how many skeins. I'll probably just give you all 4 of the extra ones, because my size is the smallest size, and that's 2 skeins. But if you want to make a bigger size, then you'll need more. So I will do all 4, which should get you up to a fairly large size, I think. So yes, put those it's not working. I gotta shut this down soon. Put a comment down below if you want to win some Kobu yarn. It's very, very soft. Very, 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 very soft. That is all I have here. Yeah, just a reminder, if you enjoy my videos, please hit the subscribe button down below. It helps so that YouTube robots know to tell other people that they might like my videos, etc. And yeah, now we will get on to, this is going to be really long. I apologize. The video with me and Karen is like almost an hour. So anyway, here comes the video with me and Karen. I can't remember what I was going to say. My brain is melting. So bye. And here comes me and Karen. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone from Montreal. This is Karen.
Hi.
Yay, she exists.
I do exist.
I've been talking about Karen for so long. We met 4 years ago on Instagram. Our friend Britt put us together. We were all sort of learning to knit at the same time, and we decided we were all going to learn to knit socks together. So we put a group together of the 3 of us, and then we've been friends ever since.
Yay.
But we haven't met in person until 3 days ago.
Yay.
So it was really nice. We had planned a few like sort of trips before, but they fell through, and then COVID, and Karen lives in Brooklyn, New York. I could probably let you talk about yourself if you like to.
My name is Karen. Creating with Karen on Instagram and Ravelry. I also started knitting in 2019 with Melissa. I live in Brooklyn. I'm in healthcare. So knitting for me is a nice, relaxing, not math and science, although there's math and science to patterns, but it's just a way to clear my mind from healthcare stuff.
Yes. And so yeah, we bonded over knitting, and then we just became friends, and we send each other fun presents. She's my Golden Girls hookup.
Yay.
She always sends me fun Golden Girls stuff.
And she sends me fun Golden Girl stuff.
It was funny when she brought that out of her bag, and I was like, oh my god, that bag is so cute. She's like, I think you gave me this bag. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, so we've been having a great time at Knit City in Montreal. We're both very French now.
Really?
Oui.
Your first time in Montreal?
Yeah.
This is my first time in Montreal.
Yeah,
also.
I've actually never gone anywhere out east besides like flying through the Toronto airport. So that's about it. Yeah, we took a steeking class yesterday. We will show you the results of our steeking class. It wasn't as scary as everyone thinks it is.
No, I'm a pro steeker now.
Yeah. We went to the marketplace, and I bought all the yarn, and Karen bought some of the yarn.
Some of the yarn.
We got a lot of inspiration. That's what, like, we've talked about this many times this weekend about how that, like, the fun of Knit City is just going and seeing everything everyone else is making. And you're like, there was one pattern in particular that I actually bought yarn for that called Velocore by Andrea Mowry that I'd seen before but not really been interested in, and then saw some in person and really, really, really liked them. What were some of the ones that you liked?
I love that one top from Mayak. It's a tee.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what it's called now, but I had seen it in posts, and it's in one of the Lina magazines, but it didn't stand out to me. But seeing it in person with the Mayak baby yak fiber, which was really, really light, it was beautiful. So
and soft as all hell.
We both had plans for that.
Yeah, I bought yarn for that too.
Yeah. But no, I love seeing people's interpretations of patterns, whether it's colors or like flipping, inverting the colors, or subtracting a color, or using a different fiber. It's neat. It gives different life to patterns.
Yeah, patterns that you're like, well, whatever. And then someone really brings it to life in a different way, and you're like, I love it.
Gotta make that right now.
Yes. Okay. What are you wearing today, Karen?
I am wearing, I don't know if you can see it. It is the DAA cardigan by Isabel Kramer. I think DAA is short for Don't Ask Again. And I knit it out of an advent. So I started with the first day, and then I added a neutral in between. The advent was from Playful Days Yarn, Playful Day Yarns.
Yeah.
In
California?
She's in California, Tara Lynn, and it's an MCN, which was really nice to knit with. I just feel myself all the time because it's so soft. And then I used Spun Right Round in, I think it's Driftwood, as the neutral, and I love how it pulled it together so much.
So beautiful.
And I'm going to knit another one in like greens and creams, but it's the perfect... From Polka Dot Green. It's the perfect light cardigan. It goes on everything. I love it. I'm obsessed.
It's really, really beautiful. She had so many compliments about it yesterday. I heard her talking about Isabel Kramer all day yesterday.
I know, and it's funny because I see all of these like gorgeous sweaters, and Melissa wore this like beautiful all over Colorwork sweater, and I was just like, it's just a striped cardi, but I got a lot of compliments on it. Yeah. So
just the color, like,
which
people were like
do.
amazed that she had picked out all these colors. She's like, no, it's an advent. I just like did every day.
But I have so many advents that I haven't touched, and this was perfect. Again, Britt, our friend Britt, who is in Utah, she thought of doing a cardigan with the advent. I jumped on, and I'm really glad that I did. Yeah. Yes. What are you wearing?
Oh shoot, I don't remember what it's called. Do you remember what it's called? Karen,
I think it's
arrived in our hotel and gave me this. She made this for me as a present. It's so pretty. Did you find what it was called?
I think it's Close to You. Close to You shawl. I'm gonna find it.
Close to You shawl. She'll find it. I'll put it down below. And
it's a one skein wonder.
It is so pretty. I'm gonna take it
super easy to knit. Very memorizable. Like 5-row or 10-row repeat.
So it starts there.
Well, it's actually like the same row, and then just these two is different than everything else.
Yeah. So the body of it is garter stitch. But then, and it looks like this is picked up and applied, but it's all knit at the same time, back and forth.
And it's one skein, so all of your single
so
skeins. Yeah, I use the Euclid Jasmine whenever I soak and block, and I love the smell of it.
It's so pretty, and it's like I love single skein shawls because they're nice and light, and they're not huge and overwhelming, and like it's.
And I envision it with like a denim jacket or
totally. Oh, did you say what the yarn was?
The yarn is Spun Right Round. So even though I live in Brooklyn, I'm from Rochester, New York. That's where all of my family is. So when I go home, I go to the local yarn shop, Lift Bridge Yarns, which I also love. And Renee from Spun Right Round is in Fairport, which is just outside of Rochester. So she's one of our local dyers. And it's called Heart Eyes, which is so great because it's just got like little specks of red in it.
It's really, really pretty.
And my mom picked out a color, sorry, I'm stuck. Oh, of course I started 5 stitches of a row and then put it away.
I cannot do that.
I don't know. We were at dinner, and then our dinner came, so I shoved it in my bag. My mom had picked out this sparkly pink. It's called the Duchess from Megs & Co., also another Fairport, New York dyer. But so I started another Close to You shawl of the same, and you can see how like you knit the eyelet rows and then the stocking or the garter grows at the same time. Yeah. But it's a really fun, easy pattern that I don't need to bring papers with me. Yeah.
Very, very good. Okay, so that's like a whip and what you're wearing all at once.
Show and tell.
Okay, I started and finished a project while I've been here.
So pretty.
So, well, I started 2 projects. I started, I'll probably show when I get home in the rest of the video. I'll show what I started on the plane. But then when I got here, I started working on that. So I cast this on in the hotel while I was waiting for Karen to arrive, and I bound it off last night.
Yay!
This is, I'll just show it first. This is the Saturday shrug.
That pop of pink is so pretty.
If you've been living under a rock, this is the Saturday Shrug by Jackie something or other of Caddy Jacks Knits. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I used, this is Sand Fingering and Mohair from Polka Dot Creek. And this is Lipstick, is the colorway by Lily and Pine. And that I held Fingering and Surrey together. And she's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous.
And I stopped, it's a little bit shorter than it's supposed to be, like 4 inches-ish shorter than it was supposed to be because I was running out of my sand colorway and I didn't bring another one with me and I didn't really want to break into another skein. Oh, thank you for being my fashion assistant.
Vanna.
And that's how she looks. Isn't she cute?
It's so cute.
I like, I don't like cowls that are like big and bulky around my neck, so I wasn't sure how this was going to work, but having it a little bit shorter makes it almost like, just like a top.
I was telling Melissa this is another one that
nice.
I've seen a bajillion of knit on the Instagram, but I wasn't sure that it was for me. I couldn't really see myself wearing it and if I could pull it off. But it looks so good on her. And I met a lady in the marketplace yesterday while Melissa was shopping for yarn.
She had to wait for me a lot.
I think I walked up and down 2 rows, came back, she was still in the same corner.
I was like in the corner behind the cash at like Amelia and Philemine or whatever it's called, and she was like trying to cash people out, and I'm like looking at yarn in the corner like a creep.
But I met a lady who we were looking at all of the samples at
Mayak, right? No,
Sonder.
Sonder.
And this was one of them, and I was like, I don't know if I can pull it off. And she was like, no. She pulls one out of her bag and she's like, you take it everywhere with you. And if you're a little bit cold, you just put it on. And then if you get warm, you just take it off. And I was like, okay, yes, ma'am.
You got a lecture on the wonders of the Saturday
She's like,
Shrug.
you need to knit it. She was lovely. I met so many people while I was just standing looking, watching, waiting.
Yeah, well, she was waiting for me to spend all my money.
No, I loved it.
Oh yeah, and so I cast on, which one's my cast on? I think this is my cast on because it's a little tighter. And then I did 10 rows and then I did 2 rows. And then we were like at dinner or like at somewhere and I got distracted and I did 12 rows here. So these are 12, 2, 12, 2, 12, 2. And then I was running out of yarn again. So the last one is 10. So it worked out.
Perfect.
And then I did 1 and then I bound off.
So great. And you're little, so it's actually the perfect size for you. I think 4 more inches might have been too much.
It probably would have been too much. It would have been stuff like hanging around up here, around my neck, flopping. I don't like floppy necks. Flopping. It's kind of gross. We had a lot of fun last night at the variety show hosted by Cabin Boy Knits. And Bluebell Bijou. Yeah. Bluebell Bijou.
Bluebell Bijou.
Who was the other guy on Cabin Boy Knits?
Yeah.
Yeah. She. Would we call him she?
She. Well, she was in drag.
She was in drag, so we will call her she. She was fantastic. And we were talking about it this morning, about how their personalities are so completely different and how like opposites work so well together. And how Christopher would just stand back and be like, oh, he's crazy. But then at the same time, like, I love him, you know?
You just see like the adoration.
Yeah. So that was great. We learned some new songs.
Some new songs, yeah.
Yeah. Particularly concerning the female genitalia, which was interesting and rolling around in both of our heads all morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so should we do our steeks?
Oh yeah.
We steeked yesterday with Claudia. I can't remember what her last name was, but she's Claude Tricot on Instagram. And okay.
So we had homework beforehand, so we had to knit in the round.
I need a pillow to sit on.
Okay. This little sample, I don't know if you can see. So Colorwork sample, we had to come with it ready to be, that was almost catastrophic. Ready to be steeked. So we did, we came with our homework.
I hated knitting it.
She hated knitting the homework.
Yeah.
It was hard because they had you knit flat for the top cuff
in the beginning,
ribbing, and then you joined in the round, and then the bottom part you went back to knitting flat, but you already had a round. So I ended up flipping mine inside out, going one way, then flipping it back right side in, and then going the other way.
I was not smart enough to figure out how to do that, so I was like, got to the end of the tube, and it was like, now knit 4 rounds flat, and I was like,
she was like inside out.
I don't understand how I'm supposed to do this. I finally figured out. I was magic looping it, and I don't know, I just pulled, usually you pull out the back needle and start knitting, so I pulled out the front needle and started knitting the back, which was so weird, but it worked.
It worked.
Anyway.
So yeah. We don't have buttons. We're sans buttons.
This was mine.
So pretty.
I can show some pictures somewhere along. We both took pictures as we did the process.
Yeah, but I am currently knitting a sweater that will need to be steeked. And so this was perfect timing because I watched a ton of YouTube videos and read about how different people like to steek. But I needed somebody to just kind of like, she drew pictures on a easel and like actually crocheted, we crocheted down the one side and then up the other side and showing like where to insert it first and how to secure it on the end and then how to go up. Also, there were some good tips like using a smaller yarn size than what you knit with so that it's tight.
So it's like really strangling those knits or those stitches that it's reinforcing.
Yeah. And then using like a bright, you can kind of see mine, like a brighter color when you go up the sides so that you, when you're cutting, so you basically like attach both sides of a knit stitch, and so you're cutting the ladder in between, and that way you can see in between the bright red. But it was really good.
So if you don't know what steeking is,
oh yeah,
I'm sure you figured it out by now, but it's cutting your knits. So like most people use it for if you're knitting in the round, and then you can cut it up the middle and turn it into a cardigan. That's kind of like the most general use for it, but you can use it for a lot of things. She was listing off a lot of things that I had never thought of.
She had this bulky blob when we got there, and
oh yeah, I couldn't figure out what the hell that was supposed to be.
And she ended up cutting 2 armholes.
It looks like a dog sweater.
Yeah.
Almost.
But she like knit it as a practice thing. She didn't even secure the edges. She just cut 2 holes in the like trapezoid side and then down the V. And so she ended up making the V-neck, the armholes, and she didn't cut this one up the middle. Did she?
Yeah, she had knit like something in the round, and it had like holes in weird places. And so it sort of looked like a dog sweater. And she's like, do you know what this is? And she's like, we were like, we don't have a clue what that is. And so where she had the holes, she had like bound off, and those were her extra steek stitches where she was going to cut. And so she cut up the sides and then up the middle, and it like magically turned into a V-neck.
A V-neck vest. It was incredible. And you could pick up the sleeve, the stitches and make sleeves, so you could leave it as a vest.
Yeah.
And I have seen people do an all-over Colorwork vest that they do that way, but gosh, I couldn't really imagine it.
And then I was like, I would have no idea how to have the forethought to be able to do that as I was knitting it, but it was cool to watch her do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we steeked. This is the inside of mine. That I cut mine a little too far over, so there's some extra rows of knitting in there, but yeah. And then when we get home, we made a little ribbing band, and we're gonna put a button on it, and
it's a cup cozy.
It's a cup cozy. I know, I was confused. I was like, okay, you're making a cup cozy, so here's the pattern or whatever. And I was like, but then we're gonna cut it open? Like, why? How is this gonna work?
But I'm kind of loving it because I was telling Melissa when I get cold drinks from Starbucks, my hands get really, really cold. And so I can use it as a protectant. I don't know.
Protectant.
Throw it in my work bag and I'm good.
Perfect. No more cold hands.
Yeah.
Why don't you show your sweater that you're going to steek?
Oh, sure. So my mom and I went to Iceland in 2021. We try to take one global excursion a year. And then with the pandemic, we were off for a little bit. So 2021, Iceland opened back up and we said, let's do it. So while we were there, the big thing are Lopipesa sweaters, but they're like $500. And I wasn't down with that when I could knit sweaters. So we went to this little mill in the southern part of Iceland. It was called the Upspunny mill. I'll show the little label. This is the yarn I used, but you can see the little mill on the bottom. And we got to see, there were sheep, Icelandic sheep when we got there in the fields, and then we got to see how they process, like they walked us through, and it's just this little house mill. It's called the Little Mill. But they took us through every process, or every part of the process for milling the yarn, and then they had a little shop upstairs. So we each bought a sweater's quantity of yarn, and this is the Sila sweater. I got a lot of the body done while we've been here. But my mom, she's very claustrophobic, and to me, claustrophobia doesn't correlate to crew neck sweaters, but for her it does. So she doesn't like anything around her neck. So I said, all right, let me build in steek stitches, and then I'll steek it. Mind you, I did this before we took her class, before we even
before she knew how to steek.
Before I knew how to steek, but I was just that confident that I was going to figure it out.
Fake it till you make it.
What I've learned though is that when you do a sweater that's actually, the pattern is made for steeking, they have beginning of round in the steek, so you don't have to weave in any of your ends, which makes a Fair Isle full sweater way more sense.
Because when you steek it where your ends are, when you steek it and then fold it over and tack it down, your ends can just go under where you're tacking it down, and you don't have to weave them in.
And they're all secured in that crochet piece. So, but I didn't do that because I didn't know. So it's okay, I don't have that many ends. But I will go back and steek this and make a cardigan for my mom. So
it's really pretty.
These are her colors. They have like maroons and a brighter red and some charcoal and cream. I chose the more neutral palette, so it's brown is the main color, and then there's like caramels and cream, and I think there's a little black in it too. But yeah, so we'll both have sweaters from Iceland. I'll probably do a cardigan too.
So pretty.
Yeah. And it's really nice wool too.
Yeah, and show how much you've
So I had
done.
just really split for sleeves when I started, and we've just been sitting and knitting and chatting, so I got almost the whole body done.
So
I've
good.
had to hotel bed wind several skeins.
On her knees.
On my knees. But it works great. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten lots of knitting done actually.
It's been really fun.
Yesterday, not as much because we were at the marketplace most of the morning, well, all morning. And then we had our class in the afternoon. And then we got a little bit, well, we went for dinner. We went to Poutineville. Oh. Karen wasn't as big a fan, but like, oh my God. I love fried, like chocolate and fries are like tied for number one for me.
I like fries, but it's the gravy that isn't. They're soggy. I like crispy fries, but it was fun.
I licked my plate clean, and and I think Karen was a little grossed out by me.
No!
That's okay. Each to
when
their
in Quebec,
own.
you have to try it, right? I'm down with trying anything.
So, our first day, full day that we were here, we went to Espace Tricot, because when you're in Montreal, you have to go to Espace Tricot. We went outside the hotel, and there was like multiple groups of knitters out there waiting for their Ubers to go to Espace Tricot. So we were not original in our plans, but that's okay. And oh yeah, this is the bag from Espace Tricot, which I think says I regret nothing.
Yep. Perfect for a yarn event.
And what did we get? The nice woman that was working there were a lot of women. The shop was very, very busy. But she showed us kind of around, because Espace Tricot had a booth at the marketplace downstairs. So she showed us stuff that they weren't taking to the show. And so that's mostly what we bought. Yeah, that is all we bought. So my first purchase was this. It's called Nordic Yarn Eco Cashmere, and it's 100% cashmere. But it's not priced like 100% cashmere because it's 50% recycled cashmere and 50% virgin cashmere. And I was like, I don't care if it's recycled, it's still cashmere.
Plus, it's so nice that they recycle it.
Yeah. So I bought two skeins of this to make the Ingrid top, which I'll put a picture right here. So it'll be it's a really nice like tank top with some eyelets and stuff. It's very pretty. So I feel like that will be good. My color scheme it's sort of unlike me. I was in a very neutral place this weekend for some reason, but we were talking about this before. Like, I find that I'm drawn to bright colors like this, and then I make something in all the bright color, like a solid bright color, and then I don't wear it. So I feel like I'm embracing my la bien aimé, with like the neons and neutrals. Like, this is the perfect amount of neon because it's neutral, but it's got that pop. So I'm tending towards more neutrals these days, but...
Well, in between this and the sweater that you wore yesterday that is neutral background with the colors.
With some pops,
it really suits you perfectly.
That's my hello from my colors, which I'll show on the podcast when I get home. In this video, somewhere. I have a lot more acquisitions than Karen does because I'm crazy and...
No, I live in New York City and I have a very small apartment and my yarn stash is taking over my bedroom, and so I'm trying to be very intentional with what I get, but I definitely was swayed by some things.
Yeah. Do your cats go after your yarn ever?
I don't really keep it where they can get it. My younger cat, if I'm knitting, she will try and grab the yarn, but my older Bruce, he doesn't care.
Yeah. Bruce is the king. He's the best. Okay, so they had some special mohair there, like that was like dyed in-house, and it was on sale. So we both bought 2 skeins of those. This is, I mean, yeah,
it's got Melissa in a nutshell.
It's got like just a hint of pink, and I think it's gonna go really, really nicely with our vintage color that we have at home. Sorry, I was like blocking.
That's okay.
At Polka Dot Creek, so I think I'm gonna hold those together.
That's perfect.
And we're gonna make the same project with these, so we'll talk about that in a sec.
And this is it's like a pink, like a dusty pink that goes through as the silk thread, but then the fluffy part is more of a brown, which is I love it. It's
the brown's
so
not
great.
coming through as much, but like maybe you can see it a little bit just because the light is brightening it up. But it's got a really nice like brown undertone.
My favorite.
We're going to make. Oh, it has a really weird pattern name.
Stand by. You keep talking now.
It's a very nice, like very open gauge, like love note type gauge sweater with a little raglan with a little bit of lace at the bottom. It's really, really cute.
It knits up really fast, and here it is. Of course, I saw it. I'm very much swayed by samples, and so when I went to my
let's show the Ravelry. Can you pull it up on Ravelry? Because then we can, well, you know what, we'll figure out what the pattern is, and I'll put a picture up right here, which is much easier than Karen showing everyone her phone. But it's really, really cute, and we're both gonna knit that up.
It has a little lace at the bottom, and then the rest is just a loose gauge knit. A couple days probably, and it would be done.
Yeah.
A nice tee.
And I got some other little things. I needed more barber cords, so I got more barber cords. And I always buy a tape measure everywhere I go on my travels. And yeah, so this was my last purchase at Espace Tricot. This is Sweet Georgia. It's not Sweet Georgia fiber, just Sweet Georgia, which is a dyer in BC actually. And this is their flax and silk fine base, which is 65% silk and 35% linen, and it's 480 yards. And they had, it's a little bit lighter. It's beige. I bought all beige yarn. But they had a sample in this color, and it was a cardigan with like a V-neck cardigan with some like lace shells on it. And we looked up the pattern on Ravelry, and we would have never landed on that pattern in Ravelry. Yeah, but I put it on because it was my size, and it just looked really cute. And so I bought that, and Karen got this color.
I bought this also for the same pattern. The woman showed us this yarn, this fiber, and it was nice, but I didn't know what to knit with it. And then that's when we saw the sample, and I said, okay, this is tumbled stone in the same.
Oh yeah, what was this called? Birch.
But it's like a mauve-y brown.
It's like a mushroomy brown with a little hint of pinkish purple. Yeah. It's very, very lovely.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And then yesterday we went to the marketplace. We didn't go right when it opened because we didn't want to be like in a giant line waiting to get in when you could just go in after around 10 or 10:30ish.
Yeah. We didn't like set an alarm at all this weekend. We got up.
Well, the first day we got up when the people upstairs started like hammering on the tile in the bathroom is what it sounded. It sounded like someone was like
replacing tile,
like hammering a small nail into tile or something. So that happened, and then that was like 5 minutes probably, and then like 10 minutes later they started vacuuming outside our door. This was 7 a.m. So we were like, well, I guess we're getting up.
It's Friday.
Yeah, but the rest of the time has been good.
It's been great.
I went to Sonder, and sorry, there's none left now. It was great. We didn't get to Sonder until the very end. They were like right at the beginning where you come in, but we went all the way to the end and did the like airport line.
Tried to be systematic.
Back. Yeah. And,
almost missed it. It was like on the one corner.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that I hit them at the end because I had already kind of blown my budget completely. So I was like, I still had stuff that I knew I wanted to get from there. So I got that, and that's it, which is good because I probably would have bought a million other things from there if we'd have gone there first. And then
we tried to be good about making a list of what we wanted to make and the amount of fiber we needed for it. And then of course you
were way better at that than I was. I am very much an impulse buyer. So one of the first stops we made when we went in there was at Knitted Bliss, and she makes embroidery kits, and it was mostly embroidery kits, right? Yeah, she had a really cool one on a jean jacket that Karen can't stop talking about.
I know,
so.
I'm gonna probably end up ordering it, but I'm nervous about like doing a denim jacket embroidery, but it was so pretty. Yeah. It was like wildflowers. I don't know, maybe I will.
It was really pretty.
Yeah.
I have actually a kit from Knitted Bliss with all the colorful yarn balls that I haven't made yet. I think I showed it on a podcast before. I was thinking about taking it to Mexico, and I did not. But I bought another one. I love this because it's just like a knitter wearing her knitted sweater, knitting a new knitted sweater, which I do all the time. So I got that. And Tanis from Tanis Fiber Arts is friends with Julie, who owns Knitted Bliss. And so she was working in her booth helping her out. So we got to hang out with her and chat with her for a little bit. We'll put a picture of us here. And so that was nice. She's very nice.
She's very nice.
She's really, really like, contrary to what you see on Instagram, she's very shy and has like some social anxiety, which I think
a lot of
us do. And so I went over and talked to her at knit night on Friday night, and nobody else was really going over and talking to her, and I was like, I'm just gonna go talk to her because I like the stuff that she does and whatever. And she was like, I'm so glad, thank you so much for coming over, because like I'm so shy, and like I love it when people come over and talk to me, but like I'm not gonna get up and go over and talk to other like so, and I get that. So I was just like, meh, I'm just gonna go chat over there. So yeah, she was at that booth.
Actually, it was funny. She said, well, maybe if you find a denim jacket that you want to wear for like 20 years, then you can embroider it. And I was like, my denim jacket that I wear now, I've had since 2002. So I think it fits the bill.
So that's 20 years. Yeah, you did it. Okay. Where's my Mayak?
I don't know.
Where my Mayak is. I don't need to show this because that's not for me.
Yeah, you were kind and got other people some things while you were here.
Yeah, I did. Oh, it must be in here with my stuff that I bought other people. It is. Oh, there's my other stuff that I bought. I was like, I bought more than this. Where is it? Oh yeah, there's that other stuff.
She just keeps finding yarn.
Oh dear.
More beige yarn, but it's all beautiful.
Oi.
Oi. I've got her saying oi.
Yeah, she's got me talking New York already.
I've got the Brooklyn vernacular going.
So we stopped at, what is it called? Emilia and Philomene. And they're a local Quebec dyer, and she makes beautiful yarn. This base is so gorgeous. It is the Josephine base, which is, I don't have my glasses on, 100% merino, non-superwash, and it's 400 meters for 100 grams. It's beige!
Surprise!
So this is for the Velcro. So I bought these two for the main color, and then it calls for 2 contrast colors, but for my size, the contrast color, like color 2 was like 50 grams, and then color 3 was like 10 grams, and the 10 grams one just makes like a couple of pinstripes, like 2, 3 or 4 pinstripes in it, and I was like, I don't need that. So I bought this to go underneath it. I'll put a picture of the Velcro here so you can kind of get an idea. But we saw one lady in particular wearing one that her main color was like this, probably a little bit lighter, more of a cream. But she only used one color underneath too, but it was a variegated with like really nice like browns and reds, and it was like a kind of autumnal color variegated, and it was so
gorgeous,
beautiful. I took a picture of her chest with her permission.
I'm
not going to put it on here because I did not ask her permission to put it on the internet. But it was so beautiful. So I'm like already, well, I'll use this for something else, and I'm going to use it like 100%. I'm going to find something. I think I have something in my stash that'll work as like the contrast color underneath it. Yeah. Did we hit that one first? You show something.
Okay. So I was looking for a color to go with the mohair that we bought. And because my mohair was pink,
Did you put it away?
I threw it down here. Pink silk with the browns. I wanted something that was a little pinky brown. And so we went to Rose Hill Yarns. Which
We're from Alberta.
Yep, they're from Alberta, and I've heard a lot about their yarn, but I've never been able to secure any. And they had the most beautiful fade that had Karen written all over it. It was like a cream with pinks and brown speckle, and then a pink with brown, and then a brown with pink, and it was just great. And by pink, it's like a dusty pink. I'm not like a bright pink person. I like more muted colors. But so I picked this one out. This is called Waffles, and it's part of the cherry chip. I'm not used to this setup. It's part of their cherry chip fade, but I just thought this was so beautiful.
Is that what it was called? Wasn't it the ice cream fade? No, okay.
Cherry chip. But yeah, it's perfect for going with the...
She was drawn to the same color
mohair
on every base. Like
on every
she
base.
had like the different bases in different sections of the booth, and she was like, "Ooh, this one. Oh, that's the same one. Ooh, this one. Oh, that's the same one."
I'm consistent, but I'm excited. I think this, you can kind of tell this is a little more brown now, but I think this will knit up together
this
really
has brown
beautifully.
Speckles in it.
Yeah. So that was my exciting purchase.
And that's for that loose gauge one with the lace at the bottom. Yeah, it's going to be a nice summery. Gorgeous. Oh yeah, this was the very first booth we went to. What was she called? Botanical Yarns?
Botanical Yarns.
She came all the way from the UK.
Yeah, had beautiful stuff.
She had lots of beautiful, like she had lots of neons and stuff, which I love. But it was like very beginning, and I wasn't buying yarn yet, but I really liked this project bag that she had.
I love the shape of it.
Yeah, it's has a good handle, and it's a drawstring, which I love, and it's bright pink, which I love, and it was just a really good bag. And I thought she came all the way from the UK.
Has little pockets on the inside that aren't like flat pockets, so you can actually put a good amount of things in.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pockets around the lining. And it's just like a really good size bucket bag. I sometimes really like the floppy ones because you can fit more stuff in them. Stuff with like the rigid sides, you can't always fit as much stuff in. So that was that one. And this was when we hit Mayak.
So
Oh, go ahead.
That's okay. Their main store, or they operate out of Brooklyn. She lives in Brooklyn, but their store is in Manhattan. But I didn't really know about Mayak until the pandemic, and she started a YouTube channel, and so I used to watch all the YouTube. And they used to host a lot of classes prior to the pandemic, so they just started again, and I'm excited to try to go to some of them. And then I think she does some pop-ups at like Brooklyn General. But Paula is one of the 2 owners and operators, and she's lovely. We got to see her yesterday. But it's nice to be able to touch the fiber in person.
We can put a picture of Karen and Paula here.
And I was again looking at the samples, and this t-shirt just jumped out at me, and Melissa was in another store, and I waited until she came over and I said, have you seen this before? What is this? Because there were no tags on some of them. And so we asked her, but this is the one that's made with baby yak, and it's to die for.
It's Adventitious by Olga Putano. And this is, again, one that I've seen a bunch because I follow Olga on Instagram, and it originally came out in Lina magazine, but now it's available as a pattern on Ravelry. And I was like, it's nice, whatever. And then we saw the sample in person, and it was really beautiful, and it was so drapey, made with this yarn. So my yak is Paula goes to Tibet and like sources yak fibers from local communities in Tibet and has them milled, and it's very much a treat yourself yarn because of like all of the ethical sourcing that comes with it. But yeah, I bought yarn to make that Adventitious top. This is a very similar color to the staple linen top that I made. I really, really fell in love with this kind of like rusty brown color when I made that. So that is going to be that. I wasn't going to buy anything from my yak. But Paula was so lovely.
She is.
She's so sweet.
And I just really love that they go into these small communities. She goes herself and her partner, her business partner, who is in Italy. She's from Italy. Go and then they also educate. They show, I was telling Melissa how I think it's so neat. They go in, and when it's shedding time, they like rake the yaks, and I don't know. I just
because they don't shear them. They just shed, and they collect what they shed.
Yeah. It's neat.
It's very cool. A sustainable way of, I mean, sheep are sustainable, obviously, but yeah.
It's also cool to try different fibers. I mean, I love yak because I use a lot of yarn that's spun from yak, but
and I've never used yak, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And so because Paula is kind of local to me, I refrained today, but that same colorway is on my list to get, and I'm gonna knit that tee.
Yeah. What was I just gonna say? I can't remember. It's gone. Kind of like, my brain was just all over the place in the marketplace yesterday. But I did have my notebook. Oh no, my notebook's not in here. Oh, here's another one that I did before I got to Sonder. This has my Henry snacks in it. This was my notebook that I brought with me with the patterns that I wanted to buy for. We got to the Jezebel B. Is that what's called, Jezebel B or Jezebel booth?
So beautiful.
And I got
this. This is felted.
This is felted wool with leather straps. Most of her stuff is like beautiful leather bags and stuff like that. This was on for 50% off for some reason. I think it like some sort of defect or whatever. I don't know what the defect is. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. And yeah, I wasn't planning on buying anything from her either because like leather stuff can be goody. Leather goods can be pricey. And like well worth it for sure. Absolutely worth the investment. She had this beautiful crossbody bag that the two ladies in line in front of me bought the last ones of, or else I would have been in danger of buying it. But yeah, I have some leather bags at home too, so I didn't really need, but that was so gorgeous.
Her work is all really, really beautiful.
And we ran into Kevin and Ray from the Needles at the Ready podcast shortly after that, and I showed Ray my bag, and then he went and bought one too.
We saw
so yay, Ray! We have matching bags. We're bag buddies. We're friends for life now. We're best friends. I had, on my last podcast, I talked about how I was waiting for Needles at the Ready to like message me about the like Power Podcasters meetup or whatever. Just like never thinking in a million bajillion years that they would have any idea who I am, or like it was just like a funny joke because like I have 800 subscribers or something like that, and they have like 18,000 or something like that. Like there's no way they would. Anyway, they like I commented on their last video that I was hoping to see them in Montreal, and they're like, yeah, we saw your last episode, and blah, blah. I was like, oh my God.
They were so lovely.
They were so lovely. Yeah. Like we messaged back and forth a little bit, and so then I got to meet them in person, and it was really nice. They were really sweet. So I'm looking forward to a long-lasting best friend relationship with them. And yeah, so that was that, and then we went to then we hit Sonder.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, good thing I was out of money already, but and then I still bought more. But these are the ones that I had planned. I was very much looking forward to squishing some Sunday morning DK. Some ladies that I go to knit night with, hi Justine and Joan, they were knitting a Colorwork, I can't remember which Colorwork sweater, but they were using this yarn and it's so squishy and amazing. So Sunday morning DK is 75% BFL and 25% Mashem, and it's non-superwash. And so Petite Knit just came out with a new striped sweater called the Lion Sweater, and so that is what these are for. More neutral. And this is the color Flat White, and this is the color Cover to Cover.
And it's a nice navy. It's
a really nice
that.
Deep.
Yeah.
There, that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
A really beautiful deep blue. I'll put a picture here of the Lion Sweater. It's really, really, really cute. It's like a raglan, but I think it's got saddle shoulders maybe. I can't remember. But it's just plain here, and then the striping starts down there, and yes, that was my main plan. So I got those. And then my other one that I got for the Clove sweater, which I've had my eye on for a while, which is I want to do a drop shoulder sweater, which I have not done before. So I'll put a picture here of the Clove sweater, and I got, this is called Shh. It's like a light lavendery, lilac-y kind of color. Tracy from the Grocery Girls used this as her contrast color in her Sonder sweater, I think it is. She used like a toffee color for her main color and this color for the Colorwork. But I think it'll make a really, really nice pullover. Just like a plain pullover, but it's a drop shoulder, which I haven't done before. So,
yeah.
And my last thing I got at Sonder was a threaded maple on the go because I've wanted
cute.
one for a long, long time.
I didn't even see that
like,
yet. That's great.
Yeah, it was right by the cash register. I almost forgot. I wanted to get one. I knew they were going to have them. But
that cash register was a busy place. I was over by the samples.
Very, very busy. So this is like a little notions kit. Thread and Maple is a local Canadian. I think they're Quebec or Ontario. And then it opens up. It's magnetized. It comes with scissors and darning needles. And then there's stitch markers.
That's
in
perfect.
Here. So that's
everything you need.
Really good. Yeah.
So I got something at Sonder Yarn Co. also. You know, when Hohi came out with the staple linen top in black, I loved it. I thought that would be perfect. I could wear it to work.
Oh, my leg's falling asleep. Sorry.
But then Melissa made that beautiful, like nutmeggy brown color, and I tend to like browns and neutrals.
She's an autumnal girl.
I'm an autumnal girl. And so I had to buy the same yarn that she made hers in. So I got that. And this is
the Muse base.
the Muse base, and you say that.
The color is called, I think it's pronounced Érable. It's E-R-A-B-L-E.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. And they had the sample and knit in this color also.
And that's where I got the idea because Melissa, who owns Sonder Yarn, knit one in this color, and I immediately bought the yarn, and that's So the Muse base is, what was it?
The Muse base is
90. I think it's on the front.
Yeah. 90% merino and 10% linen, which will be perfect. It has a nice drape once it's knit up. You know, it's funny.
It knits up so beautifully.
We kept saying, this is a great summer top. I'm going to knit this one right away. I'm going to knit this one right away. I'm going to knit this one right away.
All of our stuff is for summer tops that we're going to knit right away.
Right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to get right on it.
We're going to get right on it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get right on that, boss.
Yeah, I also bought 2 skeins of that exact same thing for my friend Karina, who is Knitty Pie on Instagram. I had a few people message me and be like, if you happen to see this, would you maybe buy it for me and I'll pay you back? I'm like, yes, I will. So I got those 2 for Karina. And then my friend Jessie from work wanted a bag from Mishnok, I think is how you pronounce it.
Those bags were so beautiful.
Her bags are unbelievably beautiful. I wasn't going to buy one. I didn't buy one for myself, but I was very, very tempted to buy one. So this is her label. She's called, I think, she's called Mishnok. I think she's out here somewhere, maybe Ontario. But yeah, this is the bag that Jessie picked. I texted her a picture of all of the bags on the shelf, And then when she wrote me back, oh, sorry, Jesse. That was the price tag. They're worth it.
They're worth it.
Yeah. So this is the bag. The cute.
I just
fruit
love
lining.
that they're a blend of the
Yeah, this is the
Harris
Harris
tweed, and then a lot of them had the Rifle Paper Co. fabrics.
Yeah.
They're just beautiful.
And then this is the inside. It's so cute. And also lots of pockets. And she's got her logo on the fabric on the inside, which is really cute. I'm trying not to rip your bag apart here, Jessie. Yeah, so I texted her a picture of the shelf of all the bags, and she wrote back. She's like, panic! I texted her, and I was like, I knew what Mishnak was coming up. And I said, Jessie, are you ready? I'm near the booth. Yeah, I think that's everything I got.
Woo!
I think. Okay, so I say I am not buying yarn again for a long time because I went to Chicago and bought a ton of yarn. And then I just bought a ton more yarn. I'm going to have a really serious packing situation here very soon.
I'm happy to pack some for you.
Oh, that's nice of you. You're so kind. Okay, I'm gonna have to count my skeins of yarn before I start packing, maybe. Yeah, anyway, it was very nice it was really, really lovely spending the weekend with Karen. We're actually going to the airport at the same time.
Yay!
We're gonna have to probably go to different sections of the airport because she's going international. But
it's weird though because I forget sometimes, it's like a 5-hour drive from New York City to Montreal. And then you get off the plane and it's like, oh, right, customs.
Yeah, I'm very happy to not have to deal with that on my way home. Although on my way here, the airport was absolutely nuts because in Canada, this weekend is a long weekend. So Monday is a holiday this weekend. And everyone was leaving on Thursday. It seems like it was crazy. And I was in this huge, long line to get through security. There was a loudmouth asshole behind me. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't bring my Nexus card with me. I have a Nexus card which gets you past the line because you're a trusted traveler. And I didn't have it with me. And I asked the lady, I was like, if I get my husband to send me a picture of my Nexus card, can I go in the Nexus line, please? She's like, no. Damn it.
A little less official.
Yeah. I was like, he can send me a picture of the thing that you can scan, and you can scan it through my phone. I have ID. I'm just no. So I had to... Anyway.
It's all right. We both made it.
We made it, and we had so much fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
The weather's been really nice.
Mm-hmm.
We've been walking around. We've been having fun trying to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit so we know what each other's talking about. In Melissa's mind, it's 8,700,000 degrees out.
We should have been... Oh, we're so stupid. We should have just been, asking Siri the whole time.
I know.
Instead of Googling, what is 17 degrees in Fahrenheit? Because there's no... It's so stupid. We've talked about this so many times this weekend. There's no, ratio.
How do you divide?
No, you found out what the ratio...
Yes, it's whatever the Fahrenheit is minus 32
divided
by 5/9.
Yeah, so just whip that out in your head.
Easy peasy.
How do you divide something by 5/9? What is 5/9?
You have to do the whole
it's
set it up
0.0.
onto fractions and then...
Oh, fuck no. Oh my god. I can't even minus 32 from something, let alone divide it by 5/9. That's ridiculous. Who came up with this shit?
Not me. That's what I told her. I was like, I didn't create it.
No, I know. It's not your fault.
I can do kilograms to pounds easy, but that's because working in medicine, you constantly go back and forth.
Yeah.
But that's also way easier. It's 2.2.
Yeah, 2.2.
Yeah.
So double it plus a little bit.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we survived regardless.
We survived, and we are best friends.
Yay.
And this is the first of many knitting trips we're going to do together.
I hope so, yeah. That would be fun.
We'll
I'm trying to convince her to come down for Rhinebeck. But I know that's a big ask.
It probably won't be this year, but maybe next.
It won't be this year for me either, probably. Yeah. I just want to go hug sheep. That's all.
Yeah. We were talking about this too, about the marketplace and going and all those people and whatever. And when you're at the marketplace here, it's just in a big ballroom, basically, in the hotel. But at Rhinebeck, you're in different buildings and different barns, and you can go outside and breathe some fresh air. You can go and pet some sheep and then go back into where you're shopping and stuff. So it sounds lovely.
Yeah. And it's fall.
Yeah.
Or autumn, so you have leaves changing, and what do they always talk about? The apple cider donuts or something?
Yeah, which I won't be able to eat, so...
Oh, I'll eat one for you.
Okay. I took one for the team and ate all the poutine, so she can eat all the donuts.
Teamwork.
Gluten-free poutine, you guys. Montreal is the best.
Wait, how about we spent like maybe 40 minutes
Googling
and calling different poutine places to find out if they were
gluten-free.
We did some research.
Celiac is a bitch.
Yeah, but Poutineville, they won.
Poutineville. If you're ever in Montreal, go to Poutineville because their gravy is gluten-free.
Yeah. Actually, I think there's a bunch of locations too, like different cities.
Yeah. They don't have a dedicated fryer. They do share fryers with other things, but I'm not as sensitive a celiac as that. That doesn't bother me. But anyway, now we're just talking about food. So,
it's all right.
Yes. Thank you for joining me, my special guest.
Thank you for having me.
And see you later. Bye.